right, this is still Ecentral on Ecentral Television. Now let's go into more details of those stories earlier. Now some call him Mr. Gentleman, but most of us know him as Ric Hassani. On February 26th, he released his 17-track album titled The Prince I Became. And prior to dropping the album, one of the immediate fan favorites, Thunder Fire You, even got its video released. But unfortunately, over this weekend, the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, NBC, declared that single, Thunder Fire You, unfit for the Nigerian airwaves. The breakup song, which tells the story of a cheating partner, was characterized as infringing on the laws against strong language. In previous years, songs like Enter the Place by Two-Face, Whoa by Olamide, and many more have been banned. Whether promoting indecent exposure, vulgar language, or drug abuse, these songs are prevented from hitting the Nigerian airwaves. Now, to talk more about the broadcast code and avoiding what some have called a ban from NBC, we have media consultant and former station manager himself, Tommy Bolade, with us. Good to have you on the show, sir.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so quickly, let's get into it. So Ric tweeted this, right? And he said, and I want to ask right now, after seeing his tweet, because I saw that you responded, he said, can you tell us what differentiates a ban and a declaration that a song is unfit to air? Because if I remember clearly in 2018, the former DG said NBC doesn't ban songs, but only a remind license that certain songs are NTBB, which they term as not to be broadcasted. Can you give us what the difference is, sir?
Yeah, so to say a ban would mean that NBC has gone out of its way to target an individual or a particular song. So I think is a misuse of the term. People assume that NBC is interested in a particular artist. That's why they would say NBC has banned a song. To the best of my knowledge, and I must say that I'm not holding brief for the NBC, to the best of my knowledge, in my years of interacting with the NBC, what they do is they point you to certain aspects of the Nigerian Broadcasting Code, which is what they use in regulating the industry, which a song has infringed. And because that song has infringed aspects of the code, they ask the station to take that song off the airwaves. And usually when they do that, they're only asking you to, if you like, fix the song and put it back on. So it's not really a ban. It's not, NBC did not come out to say Ric Hassani's song cannot be played on radio anymore. If Ric Hassani goes back to the studio and does one that is fit for radio, changes certain lyrics in that song, I'm sure the NBC would not in any way stop any station from playing that song. But the way the song is configured right now, definitely the NBC has a problem with it, and I'm sure it's drawn from relevant section of the code. Usually they will write the stations, and in their letter to the station, they would include what aspects of the code the song has infringed. So if you do another version that doesn't in any way infringe any aspect of the code, you definitely get airplay. So, which is why I don't think the word ban was misplaced, was misused by Ric Hassani and all of those who have used it. And NBC doesn't in any way talk to musicians. NBC doesn't deal with musicians. NBC doesn't even deal with presenters. NBC deals with the management of or licensees, if you like, management of the station or the licensee. So NBC doesn't interact with musicians or presenters or anything like that. They have no business with them in any way. They only talk to the people who they've licensed to operate in the country, and these are usually chief executives or the general managers of the media organizations in question. So I doubt that NBC has any axe to grind with Ric Hassani. So that's not the case.
Okay, so let me ask. I don't know if you've heard this song personally. I have. And up until now, I didn't know that there was a problem exactly with the phrase "Thunder Fire You." So, and I had done a little bit of research, right, and to see if I could maybe find in some way maybe the exact statement from NBC, but all we get was a tweet. And now, of course, this has sparked, two sides on this matter on social media. Some say it's inappropriate lyrics. Others say it's a system that doesn't support Nigerian youth. Now, from what you said exactly, what do you think? Do you think it's that phrase itself?
Okay, so I think even though we say it very casually in Nigeria, but I think Thunder Fire You in a serious sense actually can be offensive, can be abusive. So you have to look at it from this perspective. So what the NBC is doing is, and I disagree with the NBC a lot of times on a number of their regulations, but what they are doing is they're trying to safeguard Nigerian airwaves. And while it might be a song that doesn't offend a number of people, but it might offend quite a number of others, and particularly minors. The example I gave when I tweeted this or when I talked to somebody about it is, imagine your child is in a car with you and that song is playing and your child asks you, what does this mean? How do you even respond to the child? Again, I'm not holding brief for the NBC, but I'm just saying some of the times when these things are done, these are some of the considerations that go into it. Because for terrestrial radio and TV, that is free-to-air radio and TV, anybody can tune in. Anybody can put on their TV and just get your TV signal or put on the radio and listen to your content. There isn't a decoder. There isn't any kind of encryption, any kind of gateway that you have to go through before you consume that content. So it's important that any content that is on these platforms, these free-to-air platforms, must be wholesome, must be fit for broadcast to anybody.
Okay.
The NBC, the code has what you call watershed, which is after 8 o'clock in the evening for radio. And I think after 10 for TV, where you can, do some things that are a bit more explicit. Okay. So yes, at those times you can be a bit more explicit, but anytime during the day, you're not allowed to be.
Okay, let me ask one final question now, because we have to wrap this up real quick. There's a question on who's responsible. I know you mentioned that you said if he goes back and brings out a clean version, it can play. But who should be held responsible? Because there was also the conversation on social media about, stations have done these themselves in times past. So now who should be responsible, these stations or the artists themselves, quickly?
Oh, the artists. I mean, it's like asking who helps them count their money. Nobody helps them count their money. They have a system in place where their money is counted and accounted for, if you like. So the artist management need to know what to put out and on what platforms to put it out on. Nobody's going to come after Ric Hassani on the internet, and to a very large extent on cable TV. Nobody's going to ask him to fix his lyrics, but on free-to-air radio and TV, his music, and not just Ric Hassani, and this is not about Ric Hassani, this is about the music industry as a whole. If you're putting out music on free-to-air platforms, radio and TV, your music needs to be wholesome, your music needs to be such that doesn't offend people's sensibilities. Right. And it's not about morality. So I'm not talking from a moral standpoint, I'm talking about regulation. That's what the code says. So irrespective of where you stand on a moral, pedestal here, it doesn't matter really. The code is pretty much the law that guides the broadcast industry. So you have to abide by it or get, kicked out like Rick has been done.
Thank you so much for joining us and giving us that information. It was really insightful. Of course, thank you so much, Mr. Tommy Bolade.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.